Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having an amazing Saturday morning. We are back. Sorry, I'm looking for my lip gloss. I don't know what I did with it. But we are back. I told y'all I'm challenging myself to get back to being consistent, being online, being present. Um, so 21 days of living and thriving as Miss Inspiration. I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. And so for those of you that did not catch yesterday's video, all videos are still posted. They're on. I'm live on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Share this live. Share this message with someone. If you're watching on the replay, let's hashtag replay so that I know that you were here, even if you wasn't here with me in person. Again, I have to get consistent to get you here. So I'm here. So you know at 7 a.m. Central Time for the next now after today, the next 19 days, you can catch me right here on Facebook, IG, Good Morning IG, and YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Let's share this video. This message is going to touch and bless someone's day. So, quick recap. I'll probably do a quick recap for the first few days, but quick recap, I am in this process of just continuing and embracing who I am as God has called me, embracing my gifts, understanding that I need to show up, right? Things happen when I show up, and I have to acknowledge that. And a part of this is just giving you a glimpse of my journey, of how I've been evolving and growing into this person that God has called me to be. And so it's really leaning into understanding like the power of my gift, the overcoming the discomfort of being visible and for the various reasons why owning who Miss Inspiration is in every space of my life. I don't embrace it in every aspect of my life. And I touched on it a little bit yesterday. And then also just helping you. You and so many people like you have probably similar situations and issues, just embracing that. And we want to uncover those gifts. We want you to thrive in those gifts. We want you to live in those gifts. And if you find yourself struggling with that, or if you know someone that's struggling with that, this is the perfect time for you to share. Okay. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, I do have 21 journal prompts that I have actually created. So, this is my way of journaling, right? IG, I am always going to try to go back so that I can see if I can see you. And if anyone who is watching live, if you have questions, go ahead, pop them down there, and I will definitely get to them. If you have any questions after the recordings and after you watch the live on a replay, again, hashtag replay, so I know that you were here with me. Put those questions down there, and then I will do my due diligence to answer those questions as well. So, day 2, the fear of being seen. And this is why I am facing it head on. That is our journal prompt today. That is something that I'm going to speak about. So my fear of being seen has really stemmed from the rejection that I experienced as a child. And so for those of you that don't know, I always wanted to be a singer, right? I love singing, and I have come to terms that I cannot sing. But as a child, that's what you want, right? So at 5 years old, I had a dream that I was on this stage, I had a mic in my hand, and it was like 20, 30,000 people in the audience. So when you are a child and you're looking at someone as a dream of being on a stage, the only thing that you can possibly correlate to that is singing, right? And so once I realized, like, I want to be a singer, this is the dream that I had, this is going to become a reality. And when I was like in 7th grade, I went to interview with, he claimed that he was So For Real's first manager. I interviewed with him. I auditioned with him, and he was like, no, no. And I was like, so that actually put a lot of fear in me. That put a lot of fear in me, and it made me afraid of wanting to be in the front. right? Now I've had experiences being in the front because I was in the front when I was my salutatorian. I was in elementary school. I was in the front when I was in, um, singing in the glee club in elementary school. So I really wasn't afraid of being like seen, but I've always just had this like, let me just do what I need to do and let me just go. And I kind of still have that mentality now. Like I'll show up, I'll show out, I'll give it my all. I'm gonna do what God needs me to do, but then I'm dipping out. But but yeah, so that was like really the first layer of why don't you want to be seen. And I know that God worked with me through that in the beginning of my career as an educator. Because one of the other reasons that I didn't want to be an educator was because, I grew up, I had a stutter, and then I have a gap. And, kids used to be extremely cruel, like, oh, you're missing a tooth, and then adults are no better. Because when I used to go live on Periscope, those people used to be like, "Oh, you need to get your teeth fixed because you got that big hole in the mouth." And I'm like, and these are grown people, okay, 30s and 40s, probably have mortgages, and this is how they're talking. So it really put me in this space of like, maybe not. Maybe I could just write, write some books because I love to write. And, I always talk about this and anything that I do when I talk about gifts, like God gives us many gifts. And many of us have our primary gift. Not a train want to go by and make all this noise. We have our primary gift, and then we also have our secondary gift. I live by a train, and once in a while, like now, they make extreme noise when they go through them. But we have our primary gift, but then we also have secondary gifts. And for a lot of us, we are very comfortable operating in our secondary gifts, right? We're very comfortable being in our secondary gifts because the primary gift, there's a reason why you're probably like, I'm not really sure if I want to use that gift. I'm not really sure. Like we become very uncomfortable. So for me, I had to just learn to operate in my primary gift because I became a teacher and I had to be seen. I had to be in the front. I had to speak. I couldn't worry about what my students were going to say about my gap, or if I was to stutter over a word. I had to like really work on that. And I think that was the first level of me being seen and being okay with being seen. Right. And I think that's something a lot of people are not okay with being seen. And so the more that I evolved and when everything just happened, the weight loss journey, started sharing that, people were like, share it on social media. That was when like Instagram became like really popular. I just started sharing on Instagram and people started reaching out for support. And then people started reaching out, hey, can you come do a workshop about this? Can you come speak to my church about this? Can you speak to my women's group? So I was quickly this pushed into it and I accepted it because it is important, especially in our communities. And so then that's when I embraced it, right? I was confident in it. I was good. I still have some insecurities because there were certain times that I still like, I don't really like my voice. Are people really listening to my voice? Are they engaging? Are they receiving the messages? And then after that, when that happened, was just like, okay, I can do this. I'm okay with this. I think when Miss Inspiration was actually like birth, like I feel like that took it a different level because that was when I realized and I kept sharing certain stories and narratives and testimonies, it became more spiritual. And that was kind of intimidating. Yes, I was raised going to church, but I wasn't raised in church. I'm not a churchy person. I'm not a religious person. So also became like I can see why people were so attracted to my stories and the testimonies that I was sharing. I can see why they were because the things that God got me through were some phenomenal things. And so I can't negate that and I can't downplay that. So, it just was like, okay, I can see where this is going. I can see the vision. I can see how this really relates to that dream that I had. But it was still a level of fear. And then the present day, and honest, I'm gonna be very transparent with y'all. Present day, it's not really a fear, it's more of like I'm disappointed in myself. I had this amazing weight loss story. I let depression get in the way. After I had the miscarriage, I let depression take over, and life was life. And then there was times I just wanted to be like, yo, I gotta focus on Tanisha. I gotta focus on living. I gotta make sure I can make a living. And I was just like I'm dead in this. And I many of you know, and I have shared that part of that testimony as well, where I was just like, he was not allowing me to stop. And if he never allows me to stop. I will stop. I will fight with God, and it's just like, girl. And he'll keep sending people and people and people. And the next thing you know, it's just like becomes so overwhelming that you just like, you have to embrace it. So when I moved to Oklahoma, that's when I found out that I had hypothyroidism. So hypothyroidism is the thyroid condition that actually prevents you from, like it blocks you and it stops you from losing weight. And the medication also helps you to gain weight. So it's just like, dang, like I got all this going on. And that allowed me to take the pressure off of myself, because it's like, no, you're not a disappointment, you're not a bad person, you're not a failure. Life just started to life. And I learned how I developed thyroidism, which was a result of the lifestyle that I did develop. And one day I will like fully go into details about that. But it made me like subconscious, and I was just like, I don't want to share my body. I'm okay. Some days I feel like I got a double chin, and you know what, God, maybe not. And then I was just like, yo, get over it. And I remember like 2 years ago, because the last time that I was able to lose weight with no problems was the end of 2022. So that was the last time with no problems, using everything and doing everything that I used to do. So that's like I said, it is what my condition today is, does stem from my lifestyle that I had from 2012 to 2022. Maybe 2023, really. Excuse me. And so I have to face this on, because it's still, all of my testimonies are still purposeful. Like I've never took any of my books down. So Transition to a Healthier You is still available on Amazon. You can still go and download that book. You can still read about that journey, because it is still a purposeful journey. It's still a journey that can help someone to get through and start identifying the different aspects of unhealthy relationships or unhealthy lifestyle habits, and how you can start turning them around. Not going to say that what happened to me will happen to you, because most people don't do things in the abundance and extreme cases like I did. And one thing that someone said to me, they was like, yo, they was like, you have so much wisdom. That's what people need. They're not focusing on the weight loss, right? And that's what I have to talk myself through that. I have to coach myself through that, right? I have to be that person to tell myself, like, when you open up your mouth to speak, like all you comes out. I always hear that message. That was a message that I received years ago from a prophet. Multiple times I've heard that message come from different prophets, like when you speak. So that's wisdom. And so that's what I had to come to terms with that, right? I had to come to terms, like, you're being seen, you're being pushed to the forefront because of the messages, the teachings that you have to offer. That is what is going to penetrate people's soul. That is what's going to penetrate their minds. That's what's going to help them to start making changes and actually see the transformation. It's not how you look. How you look is a part of the story, and that is still another message and teaching. And so when I got to that point of realization, it was just like, okay, I get it. I get it, God. That does make sense. It is still intimidating, but I understand that is so much in my mind that I have to share in my, like, the things, the thoughts that God has. He gives me so many downloads that I know that it could be for me or it could be for someone that I don't even know. It could be for someone who's on the live or someone who's going to watch the replay. Like, so many of those things we got to throw away. Right? We have to throw away all of these narratives. Well, no one is on the live, so then it's not meaningful. No one, again, no one knows that you're alive until you start showing up and being live. This is how we start to build. We used to watch I used to watch Good Day New York because we knew that at 5 a.m. Good Day Early Edition was coming on. And now you become a fan. Now you become a person that follows because it's like, hey, today might be a message that I need. So I just have to understand that. And I want to share that for anyone because that's actually one of the issues that a lot of people struggle with. I personally know people that struggle with showing up and being the person that they know that they need to be and be seen. But a lot of people are afraid of being seen because they don't know, like, oh, they're more focused on the aesthetics. So same way that I might be focused on the weight, someone is out here focusing on their lashes. My makeup isn't right. My eyebrows aren't done. We're worrying about all these things. We have to get to a point and understand that our gifts is meant for everyone, right? And sorry, not everyone. It's meant for other people, right? So we have to just show up. We can't focus on that. And I always tell people, and I'm the prime example. 2016 is early 2018. I was out here in these streets looking crazy. When you go back to them videos, I was out here looking crazy in 2016, especially after I went fully natural. Because I don't know how to do natural hair. So I'm out here natural, up here trying to do 2-strand twists and flat twists, out here looking crazy. But I still showed up and I still did those videos. And trust me, there was days that God still had to talk to me because I'm in the mirror like, God, I look a hot mess. And you want me to go on live and talk about what? These people want me looking at me like, why we gotta listen to her? She look crazy. But people never did that. People focused on the message. They focused on the teachings. And I remember when I went to in that season, I had taken a job somewhere. And I went on an interview. And this is when I had my mohawk already. My mohawk had, was natural. And when I tell you that mohawk, it was frizzy. It was not very professional, as people like to say. I remember my ID because I ended up getting hired there. When I took my ID picture, I looked a hot old mess. Like when I look at that picture, I'll be like, they hired you because they hired the gift. They hired the person that showed up in there using that gift. They didn't focus on this because this can change, right? We see Pretty Woman. She was a prostitute. She was a hooker. Next thing you know, she meets a wealthy man, and this man transforms her physically. Everything within her never changed. Who she was to the core, because it's at the core, even when she was presented as a hooker, she was still a good person. She still had goals. So many times we get stuck on the external and we don't focus on the internal, because the internal is what's going to make those connections. The internal is what's going to bring us together. Right? And that's what people have to realize. It's not always about the aesthetics. The aesthetics, this is the reason why we're seeing a lot of people out here pissed off because they're marrying and they're dating and having children with the aesthetics. And when life really starts to life and you need someone with good character, you're not meeting that. And you're frustrated because it's like, why aren't you being this person? Because you was focused on this. You wasn't focusing on this. You wasn't focusing on who this person was on the inside and at the core. You was focusing on the wrong things. And if you could be honest about that, you could be honest about it. So, like I said, I'm trying not to keep these messages long because if it doesn't need to be, if it hits and it resonates, it did the job. So yeah, so I am your girl Tanisha Shanae. So two things. Again, this is our journal prompt. So if you are following me, you are finding your own way. The fear of being seen and why you are facing it head on. Start to journal, start to reflect on that, talk to God about it, pray on it, fast on it. Do whatever it is that you need to do that's going to help you to fully live and thrive in the life that you know is meant for you. Now, to find out more about me, if you want to connect with me, you want to learn about my blog, my books, my community, my courses, you can go to my linktree/Tanisha Shanae, and that is where you'll be able to. Now, if you, my community, I do have a community, Inspirational Trailblazers. It is for women 35 and over who are looking to start to heal. They're looking to identify and live in their purpose. You will be able to join using the code March25, and I will give you 50% off for the first 3 months of membership. The membership right now is only $20 a month because we only have one level of membership. So you get access to empowerment sessions. I have started to do the empowerment sessions. They also go live on my Facebook page, but they're only live on the Facebook page for 24 hours. So anything after that, if you want the recording, you would have to join the community in order for you to get access to the recording. You also get access to any special digital products that I may have for that month that's going to be related to the different themes. So that could be a journal planner. It could be an ebook, um, playlist. Like I try to mix it up. I try to give them what's going to be purposeful for them. Anything that's not purposeful, I don't want to just give you crap because that's just going to be waste of my time and wasting your inbox and your space on your computer or your cell phone. But yeah, so you'll be able to join that. So you go to Linktree, you'll be able to sign up. You can read all about the program, and you can go right there and join using that code. This code does expire at the end of March, so this is our March code. Um, and yeah, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me those questions. Drop them in the comments. I will definitely respond to those comments. And if anyone that has any who wants to follow, I'm finishing up because it's like a whole guide that I have put together. I haven't put it out, but I'm thinking about making it available so that people like you, like if you want to go through this journey for yourself for the next 21 days, it doesn't have to be you going live, but whatever it is, right? We all have different gifts and challenges, different gifts and talents that can be utilized in a different way. But these journal prompts is helping me to reflect and also to engage with you on how I am living and thriving as Miss Inspiration. So yeah, so I will be definitely give me a couple of days to finish up that one. And I'll make that available as well on my link tree. So what else did I want to mention? I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Time. I am on live. Yesterday, I think I was on live for like 27 minutes. And today, right now, we are knocking at 20, I can't even see, 24 minutes. So about 30 minutes, right? So join me live. I'll see you tomorrow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And as always, if you find that this message has been helpful, share it to your timeline, to your stories, to your friends, to your families that might need a message just like this. And so I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration.